Assalamu alaikum friends. In mathematics, every statement that has been mathematically proved is known as theorem, and the statement that we discuss in this video was proved and presented by the Greek mathematician Pythagoras. So this statement is known as Pythagorean Theorem. Pythagorean theorem is a fundamental relationship among the three sides of right triangle, and it simply states that the square of the longest side of every right angle triangle always equals the sum of the squares of its other two sides. Here we have only 2 points that we need to understand in this theorem. First, the square of the longest side always equals the sum of the squares of its two other sides. As we know, every triangle has three sides, so the square of the longest one always equals the sum of the squares of remaining ones. Secondly, it is true only for the right triangles, means a triangle with a 90-degree angle. Here we have a right triangle and this is its longest side. Longest side of right triangle has a special name and that's hypotenuse. Keep remember, hypotenuse is the longest side of right triangle and it is always the opposite side of 90-degree angle of the right triangle. By the time you use this theorem, you need to identify the hypotenuse of that right triangle. So you may identify either by looking for the longest side or the side which is opposite to 90-degree angle. But I would suggest you to identify hypotenuse as the opposite side of 90-degree angle. Well, it will help you to not mistakenly use this theorem for the other triangles. Well, now come back to the theorem. According to the theorem, hypotenuse square equals the sum of the squares of other two sides. So this simple statement is the Pythagorean theorem's statement. Next, let's prove this theorem. This theorem could be proved using different methods, and here we are just discussing only one of them. But I recommend you to prove this theorem with some other methods as well, so you have a grip on it. Okay, let's start this. Take a right triangle with sides A, B and C. Here you observe C is a hypotenuse. Means for this triangle, Pythagorean theorem will state that C squared equals A squared plus B squared. Let's prove this. Take three more identical right triangles and place them like this. Did you observe? Now you have two more figures. Since these figures are composed using a right triangle with sides A, B and C, so it is quite easy to find the unknown side of right triangles. If you notice, you will observe these all sides are A, these all sides are B and these all internal sides are C. Now we can say these figures actually are two squares. This is the square with all sides equal A plus B and this is yet another square with all sides C. Next, we know the area of the blue square is C squared as its all sides are C. Take this figure to the right here and take another identical figure to decompose blue area in other shapes, or to decompose C squared's area in form of A and B. Well, if we move these green right triangle in such a way, you will observe the blue area is still same, but it has been transformed into two different figures. Next, we allocate the sides name accordingly. Now we could conclude that upper blue small figure is also an area with all sides A, so its area should be A squared. Similarly, the big blue area of this figure should have area of B squared. We know blue areas in both figures are same, so we could conclude that C squared, that is the blue area from the left figure, equals A squared plus B squared, the blue areas from the right figure. Well, this is indeed the Pythagorean theorem. If we look for the initial right triangle with sides A, B and C and compare it with the general right triangle, we could say C squared equals A squared plus B squared generally proves hypotenuse squared equals the leg 1 squared plus leg 2 squared. And we know this is what Pythagoras theorem states. This theorem is very useful where we need to find the unknown side of right triangles. Let's look at an example. Consider a right triangle with two given sides 3 and 4. We can find this unknown side with the help of Pythagorean theorem. We know this side is hypotenuse because it is the opposite side of 90-degree angle. Means we need to find out the hypotenuse of this given right triangle. So we simply put the values of the other two sides in the theorem like this. Then we just simplify it. Do you know what's 3 squared and 4 squared? Well, 3 squared means 3 times 3, that equals 9, and 4 squared means 4 times 4 or 16. Next, 9 plus 16 equals 25. So we have found hypotenuse squared, that is equals 25, but we just need to find hypotenuse, not hypotenuse squared. What does it mean? It means that we need to remove square from here. And for that, we are taking the square roots on the both sides. Square root cancels square from the left hand side, and the other side we have, well, on the other side we have 5 because the square root of 25 is 5. So the hypotenuse of this right triangle is simply 5 that we have found using Pythagorean theorem. Pythagorean theorem is used for the various reasons, as to find the unknown side of right triangle, to verify whether the given right triangle is whether the given triangle is right triangle or not, or for any figure that can be decomposed in right triangles form. Here I would like to share that the right triangle is just not an useless figure, but it is observed in different situations in our daily lives. Like if you place a ladder with a wall, you will observe wall, ground and ladder will be making a right triangle. So this theorem could be used to find the length of the wall, length of the ladder, or even the distance of the wall from the ladder's bottom. Generally, this theorem is very useful in every situation where right triangle is emerged. So this is the very interesting theorem that we use to find out the unknown things that we normally cannot find by measuring. So hope you have understood this theorem and you're going to practice it and enjoy this theorem a lot. Thank you so much.